Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Let's go ahead and dive right in today. Today we're going to be reading Hebrews 2, verses 14 and 15. And I'm going to be reading from the New Living Translation, which I'm sure some of you have noticed has been one of my favorites lately. So these verses read, "Because God's children are human beings, made of flesh and blood, the Son also became flesh and blood. For only as a human being could he die, and only by dying could he break the power of the devil, who had the power of death. Only in this way could he set free all who had lived their lives as slaves to the fear of death." Jesus sent his Son for us. The Bible calls us the children of God many, many times. And I am so grateful and so thankful that God sent his Son for us. Because if Jesus had not come to earth as a human being and died on the cross for us and rose again 3 days later, if that had never happened, we would have no hope. We would fear death so much more than people do today, and rightfully so, because this earth would be the closest thing to heaven that we would ever experience. And I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty horrific to me. I did read a quote the other day that said, for Christians, believers, children of God, this earth is the closest thing to hell that we will ever experience. But for the non-believers, for the people who reject God, for the people who do not know God, this earth is the closest thing to heaven that they'll ever experience. And that hit hard, because it's not often that we think about that. If someone dies and they don't know God, they don't have a relationship with him, they've never given their life over to him, they've never asked him to, live in their heart, repent of their sins, any of that, they don't get to spend eternity with him. And those of us that do, we have nothing to fear in death, because we're going to heaven, which is, the word tells us, so much better than we could ever imagine. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no one can imagine the splendor that awaits us. And, that's uplifting for us as Christians, as people who have a relationship with God. That can be uplifting for us. But we also have to remember the other side of that coin. If we're not out there sharing the word and telling people about Jesus and what he did for us, then this is the closest that those people are ever going to get to heaven. And that is horrifying. It's heartbreaking, because yes, this earth has, beauty and splendor and wonderful things, but God has so much better for us than what's on this earth. And this earth can be absolute chaos and destruction and war, and all of these things are in this earth, and there is so much worse waiting in hell. So we really need to remember that. And I'm so thankful that I have the promise that this is the closest to hell I'm going to get. I'm so thankful for that. And I'm so grateful that Jesus came and he took away that fear of death, that he defeated the one who had the power of death. And he came back with the keys to hell and the keys to death in his hands. I love that our pastor likes to remind us of that, because it brings up an image for me that just is full of victory and joy and celebration. And I love that he likes to remind us of that, because every time he says that, that's the image I get in my head. Like the prize fighter coming back, everybody's excited. And I love that. And I love this reminder in verse 15 that says, "Only in this way could he set free all who had lived their lives as slaves to the fear of dying." We are slaves to fear and to sin before we give our lives to Christ, before we open our hearts to him. Whether we feel like slaves or not, we truly are. So I want you to ponder on that today, and share the good news with someone around you, someone at work, someone you meet in the grocery store, someone you see out and about, a friend that you've been praying for. Let them know that you're praying for them. Just share the good news, because it is good news. And I want to encourage you with that today and challenge you with that this weekend. And I also want to challenge you to take a moment to thank God, to tell him how thankful and grateful you are that he did send his son so that we didn't have to be slaves to fear of death anymore, and we didn't have to be slaves to sin anymore. I hope that that's something that you will ponder on this weekend, and I hope that you'll take the time to do that. And I hope that this kind of brightens your day. So go through your Friday, have a great day, have a great weekend, and I will look forward to talking to you all again on Monday.